Today, we begin with Amitabha. This is very, I think, auspicious. Yeah, auspicious. Amitabha plays a very important role, is very important, of course, in the Mahayana tradition, Paramita Mahayana tradition, but also in the Vajrayana tradition in general, being one of the 5 Buddhas, the 5 Tathagatas, and then particularly in the Tibetan Buddhism. Tibetan Buddhism is very much connected with Amitabha practice. For us Tibetans, then we have a very close affinity with Chenrezig, and Amitabha being the something like Peme Rikitabo. So in this family where Chenrezig is the principal deity, and then Amitabha, being the what is the term?
The Lord of the family. Lord of the family.
Lord of the family. Thank you. And Amitabha being the Lord of this family, but Padma family, Padma lineage. So naturally, then there is a very strong relation with both Chenrezig and Amitabha. So, with today's permission blessing, it is generally there are different formats such as the body, speech, and mind permission blessing, and then sometimes in the format of the 3 transmissions, and today, this one, it is in the format of simply mantra repetition. And with this was part of, it was given part of the collection of Rinjung Jaza, Rinjung collection, which is a set, a collection of many deities, I think totaling almost more or less about 300 deities, and this was compiled by Taranatha, Jonang Taranatha, so Taranatha of the Jonang tradition. Regarding this mantra, it is somewhat different from the general mantra. So I think in general, this other mantra, Om Amitabha Shi, this is, I think, quite general. But in today's transmission, then there's a different mantra. So this mantra, when I first saw this, I was a little taken back. So this mantra, it goes Om Amrita Prape Amrita Hum, right? Om Amrita Prape Amrita Hum. So I was expecting to find like Amitabha, right? But so I was a little bit taken back. But then, after some thought, then it was maybe more clear in my mind, at least, that as you all know, we have Amitabha and Amitayus, right? Amitabha and Amitayus. And usually, I think it is, they are more or less the same, They're really, one cannot really differentiate between Amitabha and Amitayus. And then, as you all know, in the Amitabha Bhavya Mahayana Sutra, I think this is the extensive Sukhavati Sutra, where Buddha, explains to, I think, was it Ananda? I think to Ananda about this bhikshu who, I think something like Dharma Koda or something like that, who makes these wishes, and then later on the Bodhisattva makes many wishes and then eventually becomes Buddha Amitabha, right? And then he says at one point, the Buddha mentions, this Tathagata is Amitayus. He says it very clearly, right? He says it very clearly. Tseba me, right? So then Amitabha or Amitayus is the same. So then there are those of you who may have received many empowerments, permission, blessings previously, and then there are those of you who may have not received any full-fledged empowerments to any of the four tantras. So if that is the case, then I think it is better that you can simply be here as something like a spectator, as a spectator, and even being in this kind of environment simply as a spectator. What I mean by spectator is that when the ritual is performed, it is not, if one is not so sure about doing all the visualizations as per the ritual, then you can simply be there as a spectator, right? So even simply as being a spectator, one nevertheless receives the blessings. So why am I talking about like this different mantras and so forth like this? Because when we hear different mantras, then someone might be like surprised and say, what is this mantra? Before I received one mantra, but it wasn't like this. Then is there something wrong with this tradition or with the other tradition? This kind of thoughts may arise, So then that is really, there is really nothing, that is not much of an issue, because there are some different traditions and different mantras like this. Also, in the extensive Amitabha, this Sukhavati Sutra, then the Buddha gives different epithets, So Amitabha has also different epithets, and he labels Amitabha by different labels, right? So keeping this in mind, then it was clear for me that when there is Amrita, so Amrita is, I think, nectar, or it can also mean something like eternal, right? Eternity, eternal. And Prabha is light. So I think this has to do with eternal light, right? So Amitabha's light, this infinite light, is eternal light. So if we think like this, then I think it helps in connecting and then getting to the point. The point being really concentrating on Buddha Amitabha. This is the point, right? To concentrate on Buddha Amitabha. It really doesn't matter which little particular mantras, or whether we have a Shri here or a Hum there. This is not such a big issue. But the crux, the gist is, the essence is that when we say this mantra, to remain focused on Amitabha. So I think at this point, now I will just do the ritual part. It's quite short. So perhaps those of you who have taken full-fledged empowerment, so I would like to stress that part, full-fledged empowerment in any of the four tantric sets, and wishes, plus wishes to the visualization as per these words, then please visualize like this. So, as I say these following words, the ritual in Tibetan, then please visualize that from a sphere of emptiness, shunyata, then first at the heart, then to visualize the seed syllable. So here, because you are already, now those of you who will be doing this visualization, you already have this background, well versed in our visualizations, etc. So please visualize red Shi syllable, and which then turns into this Amitabha, and then no need to give the description. So this is in the Nirmanakaya form. So this is very clear, and then adorned with all the these signs, the major and the minor signs, etc. This is one part, and then from the ritual Vajra master, then at the heart of the Vajra master, then from that arises this light, and then the jhana sattva, which is Yishe-sempa.
Wisdom beings.
Yes, wisdom beings. Wisdom beings arise and then become inseparable with the Zao, Hum, Bam, Ho. So you would know this Zao, Hum, Bam, Ho. So no need to explain there. And then blessed with the Om at the crown, and then A at the throat, and then Hung at the heart. So like this. And then at this part, then also to visualize, even though it isn't mentioned here, but I've taken the liberty of also having this torma with a zagali, with the image. So you can also visualize Amitabha there as well. So I've taken my liberty in doing it this way, even though it is not mentioned. It is not specifically mentioned in the ritual text. And then from the Amitabha, which the Vajra Master has now been generated into, from its heart, then visualize on the white moon disk this Sri syllable, which is then surrounded by this mantra, Om Amrita Parabe Amrita Hum. And then from that, then a replica then enters through your mouth, and then it abides in the mouth, and then enters, which then at your heart, the Sri syllable, it enters there, and then it then abides at the Sri, and then it then surrounds. So like that visualization, and then it is like this, and then with the repetition of this mantra 3 times. Okay, so this is the this is the part for those who have received a full-fledged empowerment prior, and we would like to visualize as this per the rituals word by word. You can visualize like this. Now for all the rest, then I think you can maybe simply just visualize, Buddha Amitabha, and then receiving Buddha Amitabha's blessings. And his light is infinite. Buddha Amitabha's light is infinite. And then it touches you and then penetrates your whole body, speech, and mind, and leaves, and then magnetizes the joy, the compassion, the wisdom, all your positive attributes is then magnified infinitely by the presence, by being in the presence of Amitabha, by being in his infinite light. So maybe you can visualize just like that. Or any other visualizations you do when in relation to receiving Amitabha's blessings, that would be perfectly fine as well. So maybe we can take 1 minute, just a few moments of these, whatever visualization, the visualization of your choice. So okay, then please repeat this mantra 3 times. Om Amrita Prabe Amrita Hum. Om Amrita Prabe Amrita Hum. Om Amrita Prabe Amrita Hum. Okay. So this completes the Delung, and just to wrap this up, and remember we were talking about the various different seed syllables and different mantras and so forth. As you all know, with Buddha Amitabha's vows, was it something like 48? I think, right? 48 vows. And then I think it is the 17 or 18, maybe 18th, where it is that Buddha Amitabha, the vow is that may anyone who wishes to be reborn in Sukhavati, right, with, I think, wholehearted joy, wholehearted faith and joy, may they, just as they wish, be born in the Sukhavati. I think more or less something like this. So this is really, when you think of these vows that, the Bhikshu made, Bhikshu Amitabha, and then Bodhisattva Amitabha, and Buddha Amitabha, then it is really, one can only be in awe of Amitabha's compassion, right? Such strong compassion. So these vows, I think, they're very, very inspiring, and of course they have inspired many, many generations, and they are also currently, I think, inspiring many, and then for sure in the future they will inspire, I think, future generations as well. And just for your information, if you have been also with your normal Amitabha practice, then whichever mantra you normally use, please continue using that mantra, using that practice. Don't feel obliged to add this new mantra on top of whatever mantra you're already reciting and practicing with. So you don't have to do that, You don't have to do that. The point is, yes, I think I forgot one very important part of the 18th vow, which was, I think, thinking about Amitabha 10 times. This is the very important part, right? So thinking about Amitabha, his name, thinking Amitabha 10 times. This is the main thing. So this is how Amitabha Buddha made the promise. It wasn't like the person has to say it, this one particular mantra with the Shri at the top in this red color. He never said that, right? So the point is, if you think of Amitabha, then this is really the point. And then before that, I think there was that part of wholehearted faith and joy, right? So this is, I think, really the way to get to receive, the blessings of Buddha Amitabha, the way to be in his presence, right, is by really this part of wholehearted faith and joy. And of course, then all the things you do, like taking the precepts, for example. This is very important, Taking the precepts is a very important part of that path to Sukhavati. It's the path to Amitabha's Pure Land, right? And really upholding. If you uphold this, then I think this is something like upholding the pledge, pledge of Amitabha. So really wonderful. So then, like this, then I think that's all. So in the dedication, then please, during the dedication, then please dedicate the virtuous actions, merits towards towards all sentient beings having the pure view, pure perception. So like that. Thank you.